The story of the struggles of the life of Nelson Mandela, who was the first black president in South Africa, and his 56 best motivational quotes. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born in a village called Mavezo, the southeastern region of South Africa known as Transkei. His father, Nkosi Mfakanyiswa Mandela, was a village head and a member of the Thembu family who spoke the Xhosa language, while his mother's name is Nonkafinoskini. As a boy, Mandela grew up in the patronage of elders and tribal chiefs who created a love of African heritage. In 1930, his father died, and 12-year-old Mandela was under the guardian of Jongantaba, a regent of Raja Tembu who lived on the Great Place in Mkekewini. He studied at Kunu. Then a teacher gave the name Nelson, in accordance with school rules for students to be given Christian names. Mandela then tried to get a Bachelor of Arts at University College Fort Hare, but he never finished because he joined student protests. Back at the Great Place in Mkekewini, the king was so furious. He would find a wife for Mandela and his cousin, Justin, if they didn't return to Fort Hare. The two decided to flee to Johannesburg and arrived in 1941. There, Mandela worked as a security guard and later became a land agent. In the end, he successfully completed his studies, earning a BA through the University of South Africa, and returned to Fort Hare for his graduation in 1943. Mandela was actively involved in the anti-apartheid movement and joined the African National Congress, ANC, in 1942. In the ANC there was a small group of young Africans united, calling themselves the African National Congress Youth League, ANCIL. Mandela married Evelyn Tokomase, a nurse, in 1944. They have 4 children together. However, both worked in 1958. In 1949, the ANC officially adopted the Youth League method of encouraging a mass grassroots movement to stage boycotts, strikes, insubordination and dissent. The movement aims to achieve a policy of full citizenship, land redistribution, trade union rights, and free and compulsory for all children. For 20 years, Mandela directed the peaceful, nonviolent government of South Africa and its racial policies. He founded the law firm Mandela & Tambo, partnered with Oliver Tambo, his brilliant fellow student at Fort Hare. The firm provided free, low-cost legal services to blacks. In 1956, Mandela and 150 others were arrested on charges of treason. Mandela remarried in 1958, this time to Winnie Madikizela, with whom he had 2 children. The marriage broke up and ended in divorce in 1996. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, or MK, an armed branch of the ANC tasked with sabotaging and using guerrilla warfare tactics to end apartheid. He organized a 3-day national workers' strike. He again led a similar action the following year and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. In 1963, Mandela was brought to justice again. This time, he and 10 other ANC leaders were sentenced to life in prison for political offenses, including sabotage. For 27 years, Mandela spent his time in prison, from November 1962 to February 1990. "18 of those 27 years, he was imprisoned on Robben Island. There, he contracted tuberculosis. As a black political prisoner, Mandela received the lowest treatment. Despite being imprisoned, he managed to get a Bachelor of Laws degree through the University of London Correspondence Programme. In 1981, South African intelligence agent Gordon Winter uncovered a plot devised by the South African government to orchestrate Mandela's escape. Read also, Biography of World Figures, Augusto Pinochet, President and Dictator of Chile. That way, the authorities were able to shoot him during his arrest, but the scenario was thwarted by British intelligence. In 1985, President P.W. Botha offered to release Mandela provided armed resistance was stopped. The offer was rejected. Increasing local and international pressure for his release, the government continues to discuss it, but no agreement has been reached. Replacing Botha, who had a stroke, Frederick Willem de Klerk announced the release of Mandela on February 11, 1990. He also lifted the blockade on the ANC, removed restrictions on political groups and suspended executions. In 1993, Nelson Mandela and President de Klerk were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. On April 27, 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. Nelson Mandela was elected as the first black president on May 10, 1994, when he was 77 years old. From 1994 to June 1999, President Mandela worked to bring about a transition from minority rule and apartheid to black majority rule. On his 80th birthday, Mandela married Graça Machel, who would accompany him until his death in 2013. In 1996, Mandela signed new constitutional laws for the country, establishing a strong central government, and guaranteeing minority rights and freedom of expression. True to his promise, Mandela stepped down in 1999 after one term as president. However, he continued to work for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, which he founded in 1995. In addition, he also formed the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Mandela Rhodes Foundation. On December 5, 2013, at the age of 95, Nelson Mandela died at his home in Johannesburg, South Africa. After suffering from a lung infection in January 2011, Mandela was hospitalized in Johannesburg to undergo surgery for stomach ailments in early 2012. In 2009, Mandela's birthday on July 18 was declared as Mandela Day, an international day to promote global peace and celebrating the legacy of South African leaders. Here, we have his best quotes, Nelson Mandela's greatest quotes about fear and overcoming adversity for the greater good, and more. Don't judge me by my success, judge me by how many times I fall and get back up. It always seems impossible until it's done. Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. One cannot prepare for something while secretly believing it will not happen. What matters in life is not the fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the importance of the lives we live. Hatred is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemy. To be free is not just to let go of one's shackles, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. There's nothing like going back to a place that has remained unchanged to find ways in which you yourself have changed. I have taken a moment here to rest, to steal glances from the beautiful landscape that surrounds me, to look back at the distance I have come. But I can only rest for a while, for with freedom comes responsibility, and I dare not linger, for my long journey is not over yet. Lead from behind, and let others believe they are at the front. I am not a saint, unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps trying. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life less than you can afford to live. As I said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You will never have an impact on society if you don't change yourself. Everyone can overcome their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated and passionate about what they do. It is said that no one really knows a nation until one is in its prison. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Live life as if no one is watching, and express yourself as if everyone is listening. I have no enlightenment, no single revelation, no moment of truth, but the constant accumulation of 1,000 insults. 1,000 insults and 1,000 unremembered moments produces in me anger, rebellion, a desire to resist the system that imprisons people. There is no particular day when I say, from now on I will devote myself to the liberation of my people. Instead, I just find myself doing it, and can't do otherwise. I absolutely hate racial discrimination and in all its manifestations. I have struggled all my life, I'm fighting it now and will do it until the end of my life. Sometimes it falls on a generation to be great. You can be that generation. It is what we make of what we have, not what is given to us, that distinguishes one person from another. We must use time creatively, and forever realize that time is always ripe for doing what is right. There is universal respect and even admiration for those who are humble and simple by nature, and who have absolute faith in all human beings regardless of their social status. I've never really cared about personal prizes. One doesn't become a freedom fighter hoping to win an award. I never lose. I win or learn. I like friends who have independent minds because they tend to make you look at problems from all angles. The goodness of man is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. I learned that humiliating another person means making him suffer an unnecessarily cruel fate. Even as a boy, I beat my opponents without insulting them. Although I'm a gregarious person, I prefer solitude. As long as many of our people are still living in poverty, as long as our children are still living under plastic blankets, as long as many of our people are still without jobs, no South African should rest and wallow in the joys of freedom. Tackling poverty is not a charitable task, it is an act of justice. Like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made and can be overcome and eradicated by human action. It is not our diversity that separates us, it is not our ethnicity or religion or culture that separates us. Since we have achieved our freedom, there is only one division between us, between those who value democracy and those who do not. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its citizens who are the highest, but the lowest. The greatest glory in life lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Where you stand depends on where you sit. I am the captain of my soul. A leader is like a shepherd. He stays behind the flock, letting the most agile go to the front, while the others follow, unaware that all along they are being directed from behind. Appearance matters, and remember to smile. After climbing a great hill, one finds only that there are still many hills to climb. Nothing is black or white. The great peacemakers are all people of integrity, honesty, but humility. Freedom is indivisible. The chains on one of my people are chains on all of them. The chains on all my people are chains on me. There is no sharper expression of the soul of society than the way that society treats its children. Know your enemy, and learn about his favorite sport. Quit also means when the water begins to boil, it is foolish to put out the fire. It's not where you start but how high your goal is that matters to success. Keep your friends close, and your rivals even closer. Let your greatness flourish. Stepping gently, breathing calmly, laughing hysterically. I like to play and chat with kids, feed and put them to sleep with little stories, and being away from family has bothered me all my life. I like to relax at home, read quietly, enjoy food's sweet smell emanating from the pot. Sitting around the table with my family and carrying my wife and children. When you can no longer enjoy these simple pleasures, something valuable is taken from your life and you feel it in your daily work. Success in politics demands that you have to make your people confident about your views and state them very clearly, very politely, very calmly, but nevertheless, state them openly. In assessing our progress as individuals, we tend to concentrate on external factors such as a person's social position, influence and popularity, wealth and educational standards. This, of course, is important in measuring one's material success, and it is perfectly understandable if many people exert themselves especially to achieve all of this. But internal factors may be more important in assessing a person's development as a human being. Honesty, sincerity, modesty, humility, pure generosity, absence of pride, readiness to serve others, qualities that are within the reach of every soul, are the basis of one's spiritual life. In some ways, it is easier to be dissident, because then one is irresponsible. Let there be justice for all. May there be peace for all. Let there be work, bread, water and salt for all. Let each know that for each body, mind and soul have been liberated to fulfill themselves. When a man is denied the right to live the life he believes in, he has no choice but to become a criminal.